Right now, somewhere in your day, you're going to reach for your phone for no reason at all. Not because it rang, not because you needed it, just because a small, itchy feeling crawled through your chest and you wanted it gone. You call that feeling boredom. You treat it like a glitch, but the real answer is far stranger. Boredom is not a malfunction of your mind. It is one of the oldest, most carefully engineered alarms your brain has ever built. Think about that for a second. An alarm needs a reason to exist. Fire alarms exist because fire kills you. Hunger exists because starvation kills you. So what does boredom protect you from? To answer that, you have to go back further than you'd expect. Not to smartphones, not to classrooms, not even to cities. You have to go back to a version of you standing in a field, hundreds of thousands of years ago, with absolutely nothing to do. Your ancestors did not live in constant crisis. Hunting took hours, not all day. Gathering had slow seasons. In between the emergencies, there were long, empty stretches of time. And here is the part most people never think about. Those empty stretches were dangerous. Not because nothing was happening, because nothing happening meant you weren't preparing for what happened next. An early human was sat still, staring at nothing, for too long, missed things, missed the shift in the wind that meant rain, missed the pattern in animal tracks that meant food nearby, missed the small signs that a rival group had passed through the territory. Stillness without attention was a quiet kind of risk. So evolution did what it always does. It built a punishment for it. That punishment is boredom. Dr. John Eastwood, a psychologist at York University who has spent much of his career studying this exact feeling, defines boredom in a simple but haunting way. It is the uncomfortable feeling of wanting to be engaged in something meaningful and being unable to find that something. Notice what the definition does not say. It does not say boredom is the absence of stimulation. It says boredom is the presence of a craving. Your brain isn't going quiet when you're bored. It's shouting at you to go find something to pay attention to. That shout was once useful, extremely useful. A restless mind that could not sit still in silence was a mind that kept scanning the horizon, kept noticing, kept learning. The version of your ancestors who felt boredom easily and acted on it, who got up and explored, who fidgeted their way into discovering a new berry patch or a shortcut through the hills, outcompeted the ones who could sit peacefully doing nothing forever. Doing nothing forever sounds relaxing to you. To evolution, it looked like a dead end. So your brain kept the alarm, it just never updated the wiring for the world you live in now. Here's where it gets strange. In 2014, a researcher named Timothy Wilson at the University of Virginia ran an experiment that sounds almost like a joke until you hear the results. He put people alone in a bare room with nothing to do except sit there with their own thoughts for about 15 minutes. No phone, no book, nothing. Before the experiment, participants were given the option to give themselves a mild electric shock if they wanted to. You'd assume almost nobody will choose the shock. Why would they? A little discomfort seemed obviously worse than the quiet thinking. You'd be wrong. A significant number of participants, including many who had said beforehand they would pay money to avoid being shocked, chose to shock themselves anyway, just to have something happen, just to escape the unbearable itch of unstructured stillness. Think about what that means. Your brain would rather feel pain than feel nothing at all. That is not weakness. That is an ancient system doing exactly what it was built to do, in a world it was never built for. 15 minutes of stillness in a lab chair triggers the same internal alarm that once told your ancestors to get moving before the fire went out or the light faded. The alarm still fires, it just has nothing real to point you towards anymore. So what do you do instead? You reach for your phone, you scroll, you refresh a feed that hasn't changed in the last 90 seconds. None of it satisfies the ancient craving, because the craving was never built for infinite content. It was built for meaningful action. Checking a screen gives your brain the flicker of novelty it's begging for, without ever answering the actual question underneath the itch, which is, what should I be doing with this moment? This is why boredom scrolling never quite works. You finish, and the itch is still there. It was never a hunger for the information. It was a hunger for purpose. Here's the twist that almost nobody expects. Boredom isn't just an ancient alarm bell. It may be one of the most important tools your mind has for creativity. Dr. Sandy Mann, a psychologist who has researched boredom extensively at the University of Central Lancashire, ran a study where she had people complete a deliberately dull task first, like copying numbers out of a phone book, before asking them to come up with the creative uses for an ordinary object. The bored group outperformed the group that skipped the dull task. Boredom, it turned out, pushed their minds to wander further, to make stranger and more original connections, precisely because there was nothing external to hold their attention hostage. Your ancestors likely experienced something similar without ever naming it. The quiet hours walking, watching, waiting weren't wasted time. They were the exact conditions which the human mind does its best wandering. Ideas about tools, about social alliances, about where to find water next season likely didn't arrive during the chaos of the hunt. They arrived in the boredom afterward, when the mind, starved of external input, started generating its own. You're living in the first era in human history where the boredom almost never gets the chance to finish its job. The moment the itch appears, you kill it. A notification, a scroll, a video, gone in under 3 seconds. The ancient alarm goes off, and instead of letting it push you towards something meaningful, you feed it to a placebo. It quiets down for a moment, then it comes back, louder, more often. Some researchers now believe this constant interruption is part of why so many people report feeling more restless and less able to sit with their own thoughts than in previous generations. Not because boredom itself has changed, because you never let it finish speaking. So what happens if you don't reach for the phone the next time the itch shows up? At first, probably nothing good. It gets worse before it gets better. The craving intensifies, the same way any craving does when its usual outlet disappears. But underneath that discomfort is the same ancient machinery that once sent your ancestors out to notice a change in the wind, or wander toward a new grove of trees, or simply sit and think until an idea took shape. That machinery hasn't gone anywhere. It's still in you, fully intact, just waiting for you to stop silencing it before it has the chance to work. Boredom was never your enemy. It was your ancestors' navigation system, built to move them toward meaning whenever the world went quiet. You inherited the same system, wired into the same brain, running on the same ancient code. So the next time you feel that itch and your hand drifts to your phone, pause for 1 second. That feeling is empty. It's not a glitch. It's the oldest, quietest voice in your head, still trying to tell you exactly what you told your ancestors for hundreds of thousands of years. Go find something worth paying attention to.